Okay, so I've modified my program now to have 4 LEDs on. And you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, they're turning on in sequence. If we look at the program, I've given them all numbers based off where they're plugged into the Arduino. I've made them all outputs. And then I've got my code running here. So all of them off, wait a little bit, one of them on, wait a little bit, two, wait a little bit, three, wait a little bit, four, and then repeat. So we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, off, 1, 2, 3, 4. The next thing that we want to do is add another component to this. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to click on component. I'm going to let my simulation stopped automatically. And I want to see about finding a potentiometer. There we go. So there's my potentiometer. Take that, click on that, and I'm going to bring that up and put it on my circuit. Now, potentiometer has 3 wires on the bottom. One of those wires we're going to hook to ground. One of them we're going to hook to 5 volts. And the other one we're going to hook to the Arduino. So let's take this, we're going to take one wire here. That one is going to go down to ground. And remember, we want to change the color to black because it's a ground wire. Another wire here that is going to go down to positive. And it can stay red because it is a positive wire. We got an extra potentiometer there, better delete that. Now, I never connected this positive line to the Arduino, so let's scroll down. Alright, so let's go down and take a look at the bottom of the Arduino. And we'll find the 5 volt line. So here we go, we've got 5 plus. I'm just going to bring that up and attach it there. So now I've got a 5 volts going to this line and 5 volts going to that potentiometer. The other thing is I'm going to take a wire from here, the middle pin on the potentiometer, and bring it down into A0. And we'll change the color of this one as well. Let's say, we'll go with blue. So we've got the blue wire coming in. Now this is an analog pin. So now we need to get back and take a look. Alright, so we've got our 4 LEDs in the program here. And if you see, let's start my simulation. You can see that I've got all 4 of them lighting up now in a pattern. If I take a look at the code editor, you can take a look and see I've got 4 LEDs set up, named LED, then LED 2, 3, and 4. I've got them all set as outputs, and then I have a code where they're all turned off. We wait half a second, we turn 1 on. Wait half a second, we turn 2 on. Wait half a second, we turn 3 on. Wait half a second, we turn 4 on. Now, this could be wrote out a lot simpler, but for the case of this project, we're just going to leave it like this for now. The next thing that we want to do is add a potentiometer into the program. So I'm going to go component here, find the potentiometer, and drag it up into my circuit. Line it up so it's in 3 of the holes. If we zoom in, you'll see that we've got 3 pins on the potentiometer. One pin we're going to hook to ground. Make sure that's a black wire. One pin we're going to hook to the 5 volts. That can be red. Now we haven't actually hooked up 5 volts to the circuit yet, so I'm going to come down here to 5V and bring it up and plug it in to 5 volts there. And it can stay red because it is a 5 volt wire. Now the middle pin we're going to bring down and we're going to bring it to the analog inputs on the other side of the Arduino board. And we'll change the color just to something that's not red and black. So there's a green wire going in. Now we can take information from this potentiometer and utilize it in our program. So what we need to do is edit the code, and we're going to add a few things. So let's go right back up to the top. Now we've got all of these pins set up, but let's add another integer. So integer pot for potentiometer equals A0. followed by a semicolon. So there's, if you set up that A0 where you plug the potentiometer in, is going to be labeled pot now. We don't need to adjust its pin mode because the analog inputs by default are always inputs. But what we do need to do is establish a starting point for when we're reading it. And we do that by saying integer, and this time we'll call it sensor because it's a sensor. Sensor equals 0. By doing that, every time the program starts, it thinks the potentiometer equals 0. It might only be for a millisecond, but that's all it takes to get the program running properly. We don't need to set it as an output, and let's go down here to our loop. In the loop, we need to read the sensor, or sorry, read the potentiometer. So we called it sensor, so let's say sensor equals analog read. Now, analog should all be lowercase. Analog, and then read should be a capital R. Analog read, like so. Then in brackets behind analog read, we're going to put pot for the potentiometer. Brackets followed by a semicolon. So what that's done is it's taken sensor, which was 0, and it's now changing it to whatever the potentiometer is. Kind of cool. But right now it's not doing anything in the program. What we could do though is we could set that sensor value to be our delay time. So instead of 500, we can set that to delay as we go through our code. Okay, let's try, see if this compiles. Should. Okay, so we've gone upload and run. Our program should be running. So I've got it potentiometer 1 position. Pretty quick. Turn it a little more. Slows right down. Turn it right up. Let's just let it go through a cycle first. Speeds up again. So we've made a program that the delay time is based off the sensor value.